Hi everyone! Just in case you haven't read the title of this video, what we're going to be doing today is doing Germans in arcade! Specifically this 109 and possibly one of the other 109s depending upon if I live or not with this plane. This plane, it's a G2 Trop, one of the best 109s that you can get this early in the game. And it's almost completely stock. Played one game in it, got one kill, almost unlocked the first one. But almost is not enough. Yeah, whatever. So it's stock at the moment. So you're going to be seeing how good the 109s are while they're stock, which isn't necessarily the best example of them. Instead, I guess I could start with the F-4, which is almost not stock at all. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the F-4. Just because, why not? And the German aircraft, if you watched my Russian review, I mentioned that the Russians are probably the best head-on aircraft, especially with the La-5, with the possible exception of the Germans. The reason it's a possible exception and not just a clear, straight-up exception is because the German aircraft have very difficult-to-aim weapons. Their cannons fire at very low velocities. Ooh, a night battle. Am I firing tracers? I am firing tracers. Pretty colors that are going to give away my position! Yay! Anyway, the German, and I use the gondola cannons on the 109s in arcade. I definitely don't recommend using them in realistic. They have too big of a performance impact, and one cannon is far more than enough. But in arcade, they work just fine. It doesn't slow your plane down that much, doesn't hurt your rate of climb that much, and the extra firepower really helps in arcade where it is actually relevant. But the Germans, because the Germans do have that 20mm in the nose, and it is bullseye accurate even at extreme range, they make very great head-on aircraft because they can snipe you before you're in range of them. But at the same time, they make very bad head-on aircraft and very bad aircraft in general because their cannons are so difficult to aim. So they're probably the most skill-based aircraft in the entire game. They're definitely more skill-based than the Russians. Arguably, their planes are better planes than the Russians. La-5 versus a 109. Neither of them turn very well, but at least the 109 can climb as well as the La-5 and can exploit its altitude advantage much better than the La-5. And I think I'm just going to go anti-bomber this game, just because, why not? Somebody has to shoot down all these bombers. Although we're going to go after the Thunderbolt first, because I don't want the Thunderbolt to be able to go after me. So we're going to use our speed to close in on him. And put some cannon rounds up his butthole. Gonna wait until we get closer to in range. And here we go. You have to lead, even when they aren't maneuvering, you really have to lead the targets a lot with the Germans. Because of how slow their cannons' velocities are. Which basically just means the bullets travel very slowly. Is what that means. And they're very unmaneuverable, even at reasonably high speeds. They just don't, these 109s just don't turn well. They used to turn well, but then one of the patches gave them their historical lack of maneuverability. And ever since then, oh boy. But these cannons are pretty thoroughly devastating. And it takes them a long time to overheat, so I could be holding the trigger down a lot longer than I am. I just like going for accuracy more than fire rate. And then you tickle them with the 30s. Or with the rifle caliber rounds, I mean. The rifle caliber. Oh, it took the wing off. Oh, that is pretty. Oh, no. I put him into a flat spin. Oh, that looked cool. That looked really cool. Oh, a little lag there. Oh, the poor German, or the poor Russians, I mean. But yeah, so, very skill-based planes. It's as difficult to fly well as the Americans. They're very energy-based aircraft. Meaning if you're a bad judge of energy, or if you're not patient enough to climb, these aircraft are really going to suck. If you are patient enough to climb, these are some of the best planes in the game. They really are. A lot of people think they're some of the worst planes in the game because they're so easy to outturn by most aircraft. So if you're stupid enough to try and turn fight in a 109, you're probably going to end up dead. Some aircraft, such as the Thunderbolt, you can outturn, but most aircraft you actually can't. So, it's a pretty dumb idea to try and turn fight in the 109, just like it's a dumb idea to do a proper turn fight in the Law 5, because the Law 5 just can't really turn that well compared to most planes. But the 109 does have a great climb rate, is extremely fast for its tier. Basically, it's an American plane with cannons, is the best way to think about them in playstyle terms. But they tend to have better climb rates, but they also tend to be slower. Meaning it's more difficult to exploit an energy advantage, but it's easier to, I don't know, it's easier to get the energy advantage, but it's harder to exploit it once you have it. I am not a good shot. Handed that guy my tail. Is he pointing his nose? He's not. Alright. Is he? Oh, he sort of was. Yeah, these planes don't turn particularly well. And they do bleed speed pretty quickly, but so does the Kai 49. Oh, these cannons. They're really great when you can hit the enemy, but because of how low velocity they are, hitting people is more of an ask than it is in most other planes. Did that bomber get shot down over here? He's still around. Oh, I'm smoking some dope. I'm pretty sure that's my oil leaking out, or maybe that's some engine damage, I'm not sure. It looks like some engine damage. I'm colorblind, so I can't see the colors on the paper doll or whatever it's called, so it's really hard for me to tell what's been damaged until it gets damaged really badly and goes dark red. Nice hard hit on him there. Hey, I got fighter. Germany! Woohoo! They have really great planes, even if they're really annoying and difficult to learn how to use. But once you do, there are a lot of people that believe the 109s are probably the best planes in the game once you learn how to fly them. Considering I got fighter and survivor, or bulletproof, I got fighter and bulletproof, which is always nice to get, but I didn't even get 2,000 research points, so apparently nobody had a very good game. The game didn't last long enough for anybody to rank up a really nice high score. But there you go. That's how to play the 109 F-4 in arcade. Yep, the 109 F-4 in arcade. And this goes for all the 109s. All the 109s, once you get to the nose-mounted cannons, they perform very similar. The Tier 2 ones, these are a little different, and these are quite a bit different, but once you get to the Tier 3 and beyond, they all basically perform the same. They just slowly get better as you go down. And they're pretty quick. They can keep up with most American planes, and only a handful of American planes can outrun them. And they can outclimb a lot of aircraft once you get to certain specific ones. But they're basically they are not good all-around planes like the Russians are. They're very dedicated to having very good weapons and being a very good zoom and boom aircraft. The Americans give up a little bit of weapons for a little bit of extra turning ability, or a little bit of extra speed, depending upon which one it is. A really great example is this plane will be outturned badly by a Hellcat, but it can outclimb, or at least climb with a Hellcat, and it can easily outrun a Hellcat. A Thunderbolt can easily outrun it, and a Thunderbolt has a surprisingly good rate of climb, but the 109 will easily outturn a Thunderbolt. So it's they're an in-between in the zoom and boom fighters. They have a really good climb rate, but there are some aircraft like the Bearcat and the Spitfire Mark 9 that have better climb rate, so it's not like it has the best climb rate in the game. There's also some aircraft that will outzoom it, like the Mustang and the Thunderbolt, and there are also some that are mostly zoom and boom fighters that can outturn it, like the Hellcat. But so it's basically it's in the between as far as the zoom fighter is concerned. They're one of the best energy fighters in the game, but energy fighting specifically is probably the most difficult thing to do. Anyone can turn fight and anyone can do zoom and boom. But actual proper energy fighting it's a difficult thing to learn how to do. But even without energy fighting, just using them as zoom fighters, they work perfectly fine, as you just saw. So, the biggest difficulty, the most challenging thing about these planes are how low velocity the cannons are, which leads to having quite a lot of difficulty hitting things. But as you saw in the video, when you hit things, those things die. So if you're shooting the crap out of a lot of planes and not getting any kills, don't try and blame the plane. It's not the plane, it's your accuracy. And just because you can hit things with spray and pray 50 calibers does not mean you can hit things with the German cannons. And just because you can hit things with the Russian cheap doesn't have to get anywhere near the target to kill it cannons. You actually have to properly hit things with these cannons to kill them. So they are some of the most difficult guns to use, but they work just as well as any other cannon, if not better than any other cannon, once you do get used to hitting things with them. So all in all, very good planes. Dedicated energy and zoom fighters. Really can't turn with them. If you want to try turning, go for it, but don't blame me if you screw up, because that's not what they're for. 109. One of my favorite planes in the game now that I know how to use it, even though it was one of my least favorite planes in the game before I learned how to use it. Will I ever learn how to use the Yak-19 and fall in love with it? Let's hope not. So there you go. Germany in arcade. Yay!